Okay. Wil zich gedacht halten still. He should have remained quiet. Aber had gezocht auf dem call to him. But he said, the, to him, oh gosh, uh,
Psalms.
sorry?
Psalms.
Psalms, thank you. Allerlei psukim, all sorts of chapters, verses, tefillahs, prayers, und sich ausgetan hat mit dem Rebbeinu Shalom. And he argued with God auf Yiddishkeit in Yiddish. Father, says mir God, things are very straight, narrow for me. So Wasser kreeg bis holds, the waters are rising to my neck. God meer is geen koach to the other Nisyonis. I don't have any strength for all these tests that you're putting me through. So als ik hem met allemaal vervolgd zingen, suddenly he wanted to sing. Had one gehad met anigen. He started with a melody, was men zingt Yom Kippur to Yalis, that in Yom Kippur, when it's a tune that goes with the prayer Yale, that you say in Yom Kippur, and is a river in a Jodlanish Bundiberg. And then he went over to a yodeling that he used to do in the mountains when he was a serf. Had gezungen und geweint. He sang and he cried. Jeder Ton wat ihm der Mond on sein Verlust. Every note reminded him of his loss. Sarah, wo bist du? Sarah, where are you? Wo bist du? Where are you? Red zu mir, talk to me, give me a Zeichen, give me a sign, what gerufen, he called. Says, dein Kind, your kid, dein Sohn, your son. Wo is he? Where is she? Die heilige Neshama deine. Where is your Holy Spirit? Gewollt bloß ton auf dir aanguck. I would just like to look at you once more. Hat sich opgestellt a while, wie zu geben Sarah's Neshama a Gelegenheit, sie soll ihm entfern. He stopped for a while as if to give Sarah's soul the opportunity to answer him. Danach hat genommen spannen weiter. After that he strode further along. Plötzlich ist der Wald geworden, begossen mit an österlich Licht. Suddenly the forest was poured on was poured on with an unusual and amazing light shone on the forest. Es ist geschehen in Einrega. It happened in a moment, nicht wie a gewöhnlicher Sonnenaufgang, not like a usual sunrise, was kommt bisslichweise, that comes on slowly. A weil es ihm eingefallen, also hat sich an Pleck zu ihm a Licht von jener Welt. For a while it seemed to him that a light from the other world was revealed to him. Aber nein, but no, sie ist gewesen die Sonne, it was only the sun. Alle Vögel haben genommen singen und schreien mit Amol. At once, all together, a whole bunch of all the birds started singing and crying out. Die Stammen von die Sosnes haben sich wie angezündet. The trunks of the pine trees were as if turned turned on turned onto fire, onzünden, but were lit up from the sun. Ergens weit, somewhere far, in an Öffnung zwischen die Bäume, in an opening between the trees, hat geflackert a fire. A fire was uh, burning, but going up and down. So hat gedauert a while, bis Jakob hat vernommen, als dortiger Flamme is die Sonne. It took Yaakov a little bit of time before he realized that this fire is the sun. Yaakov had a kukaton after him, Eufala. Yaakov looked at the little child that he was holding. So hot geordnet, it was breathing. Hat sich abgesetzt unter Land dem Kind zwischen die Lippelach, bloß Schwarzkeller mit Milch. He sat down and he gave the child between its lips this rag with milk. The rag was soaked with milk. In Onahibotos kind sich verklemmt. At first, the kid grimaced and wie sich abgesagt, as if refusing das anzunehmen, as if refusing to take this on statt der Brust instead of the breast. Bald hat es genommen Säugen, but soon it started to suck. Zum ersten Mal in Wochen is Jakob befallen afraid. For the first time in weeks, Jakob felt happy. Had noch nicht alles verloren. He hadn't yet lost everything. Sie ist ihm geblieben, noch ihr Sohn. Her child was still left to him. Soll he should Jacob not zukommen to der Weisel. He should only manage to get to the Vistula. Soll not arriba mit der Prom. If only he should go across on the ferry. So wird sich schon jemand finden, was mit dem Sohn seinem Unzeugen. And then it will be, there it'll be easy to find someone who will suckle his child. In der Rega hat Jakob gewusst, wie wird annommen ton das Kind. And at that moment, Jacob knew how he would call the child Benjamin. Is wie Benjamin, a Ben Boni, a Sohn von Treuer. He is like Benjamin, a son of sadness. So hat nicht gedauert lang, wie Jakob hat der Blick von der Weitens die Sanden über der Weißel. It didn't take long before Jacob saw far away in the distance the sand of the Vistula. Hat nicht gehabt verblondet. He hadn't gone astray, hadn't lost his way. Is gegangen die ganze Zeit mit dem Ponym zum Teich. The whole time he had been going with his face facing the river. When is a Reusfuhren, when he left the Wald, probably, when he was Reus von Wald, when he left the forest, hat die Prom nicht gesehen. He didn't see the ferry, aber hat sich angestoßen, wohin zu gehen, but he was realizing where he should go. Der Teich hat abgeschlagen, halb schwarz. The river was beating, half black, half white, half red. A großer Vogel is geflogen über sein Leben. A large bird was flying over its length. Zumal ist herab, so niedrig, als hat versprochen, die Flach mit die Spitzenflügel. At times he flew down so low, excuse me, so low that he was sticking the tips of his feathers into the surface of the river. My voice is going, so I should probably stop here.
Simone, should I start?
Yeah. I'll have to clear my throat. better.
Zumal is Europa so niederig, als hat fast...
No, it's the next sentence. Ein neuer Tag hat sich angehoben. I've done the Spitzenfliegel, the tips of its wings hit the surface of the river. So it's over here, ein neuer Tag.
Ein neuer Tag hat sich angehoben, a new day was beginning. A Beginn, a so frisch und lauter wie in der Zeit von Weltbeschaffung. A beginning as fresh as at the time when the world was beginning, at the creation of the world. Die Spiegeldickheit von Teich, the flowing of the river, sein Reinkeit und Läuterkeit hat wie abgeleitet alle Schrecken von dem Nacht. I have to guess the flowing of the river and its what is Reinkeit und Läuterkeit?
Cleanliness and
Mankind. So, yeah. Go
cleanliness.
ahead.
Sorry, I'll keep quiet.
Did somebody tell what Reinkeit is?
Cleanliness.
Pureness, purity,
Und Läuterkeit? What is that?
brightness, brightness,
Sorry? It's purity and brightness. It's purity and lightness seem to
contradict.
Seem to contradict all of the cries of the night, all the fears of the night. Alle finstere machshavos.
Machshavos.
And what is machshavos?
Thoughts, all the dark thoughts.
All of the dark thoughts. A viele der Teut hat ausgewiesen gegen der dosiger Hellkeit, wie a Beis ois durch nicht. It was as though death had had gone away toward that very is Hellkeit like a hellish place?
No,
like
brightness. It's also brightness.
Oh, had gone off into that same brightness, like an evil Oisturkenish.
No, an Oisturkenish is an illusion.
Like an illusion. Nicht der Himmel, nicht der Teich, nicht die Samen, nicht die Samden seinen Teut. Neither the sky nor the river nor the sands were dead. Alles lebt, everything was alive. Die Erd, the earth, die Sonne, the sun, jeder Dumem. What is Dumem?
Dumem, inanimate object.
And every inanimate object. Nicht der Teut is die große Kashiya. Death was not.
Kasha.
Death was not
That's
the great
kasha.
Kasha. Thank you. And what is a kasha? A big kasha?
Kasha is a problem.
Death was not the
question.
big problem.
A question or a problem.
So, death was not the greatest problem, nor the Yisurim. What are the Yisurim?
Yisurim is the suffering.
But suffering was the biggest problem. Okay. Jo, was für ein Ort haben Yisurim in Gottes Bashaf? What place did suffering have in God's, from God's point of view, would you say?
Or creation.
In God's creation. Kann das sein, als die Sonne, could it be like the sun, die Samen oder die Weißel sollen leiden? Could it be that as the sun and the sands or the river would, what is leiden?
Suffer.
Should suffer? I would like to pass the torch to you, Yankov, because I'm not getting enough words.
Okay. Yaakov hat sich von Sinai aufgestellt. So Yaakov once again stopped und sich eingeguckt in Kind. He stopped once again and he looked at the child. Leid es schon but seitens Jesurim, was the child already suffering? Ja, man hat schon gesehen auf dem Kindspenemel a Zeichen von Leid. Yes, one could already see on the child's little face the signs of suffering. Aber es ist nicht gewesen seine pain, but it wasn't his pain. Jakob hat sich ausgewiesen als das Kind Leid von anderen, verfrierdike Deures. It appeared to Yaakov that the child was suffering for other reasons, coming from the earlier generations. Efsher far späterdike Deures, and perhaps from later generations. So hat sich gedacht, als das Kind proved bescheiden errittenisch, it seemed as if the child was trying to resolve a riddle. Was hat zu tun mit Gilgulim und mit der Zeit, wenn das Kind ist noch nicht gewesen da. So it was as if he was trying to resolve a riddle which had to do with Gilgulim, or like a transmigration of souls, and with a time when before the child was here, of dem doziken oilem, before the child had come into this world. Über den größten Stern haben geschwebt Rayones, over the great stars there were hovering ideas. Das Penemel hat sich gekrimpt. It's the child's little face twisted. Die Lippelech haben etwas gechespend. Its little lips were as if calculating something. Is noch nicht da, hat Yaakov zu sich geredet. He's not here yet. Yaakov said to himself. Hat noch cheshboines von a frierdiken Gilgul. He still has considerations from an earlier reincarnation. Epis hat genommen brummend in Jaakoven. Something began to murmur within Yaakov. Der Posuk in der Sedra Vayechi, a verse in the passage of Vayechi that is read from the Torah. Va'ani bevo'i mipodon aram mesa alai rochel be'eretz Canaan b'derech be'od kivrat eretz lavo Ephrata. So I on my way to Padan Aram, Rochel had passed away in the land of Canaan on the way before some distance from Ephrat. Heist euch Jacob. His name was also Jacob. Sie sind euch gestorben, aber liebte Freu in der Fremd. His beloved wife had also died in a strange place. A Tochter von a Getzendiener, the daughter of an idolater. Man hat sie euch begraben, als sei gut wie auf dem Weg. And they buried her also as if on the road. Sie ist ihm euch gebliebener Kind, and he was also left with a child. Geht euch rüber dem Teich mit dem bläusen Stecken. Sie juckt sich noch ihm euch an Esau. He was also crossing a river with holding his staff, and they were chasing him also an Esau because he was scared that the dragoons were looking for him and chasing him. Alles ist geblieben wie gewesen. Everything remained as it was. Die alte Liebschaft, der alte Waitig, the old love, the old pain. Es werden öfter weg noch 4000 Jahre und ergens bei einander Tag wird spannen einander Jakob und es wird ihm abstorben einander Rochel. So perhaps another 1000 years would go by, and somewhere near another river, another Yaakov would be striding, and another Rochel would die, would pass away. Oder wer weiß, but who knows? Efter ist es als der eigene Jakob und die eigene Rochel, but perhaps it was the same Jakob and the same Rochel. Nu, aber die Geule muss kommen, but still the redemption must come. Ewig kann das als nicht dauern. This cannot last forever. Jakob hat aufgehoben den Blick. Jakob lifted his glance. Fear, Gott, fear, is dein Welt. Administer, God, administer. It is your world. This we're coming to the epilogue. knappe 20 Jahre seinen gehabt vorüber. 20 years passed. Pilitz is sich gehabt zu wachsen, geworden als Stadt. Pilitz had grown and it had become a city. Der Poritz Pilitsky und sein Weib Teresa haben schon lang nicht gelebt. The nobleman of Pilitsky and his wife Teresa had not been living for a long time. Die Stadt hat gehört zum Sohn von Abal Choiv, was hat abgewonnen die Nachla bei Pilitskin in a langjährigen Prozess. The city, the town, belonged to the son of a debtor who won the estate from Pilitsky in a long-standing court case. Adam Pilitsky hat getan das, was hat allemal vorausgesagt, als wird tun. Adam Pilitsky did what he had always ahead of time said that he would do. Sich aufgehangen, that he hanged himself. Bald noch sein Tod hat die Almone sich reingelost in eine Affäre mit Aschegitz. Immediately after his death, his widow became involved in an affair with a Aschegitz, a Gentile, verarmten Schlichtschitz. And this man was an impoverished nobleman. Sie ist bald geworden, als sie vernarrt in jenem, als sie hat ihm weggegeben das Letzte. She had become so deceived or misled by that person that she had given him everything, the last everything that she owned. Aber in einem Tag is entlaufen, but one day he ran away. Von demult on is Teresa reingefallen in a melancholia. From that time on, Teresa sank into a depression. Sie hat sich abgeschlossen in a Beudemstub in Palaz. She locked herself up in an attic room in the palace und is mehr keinmal nicht herausgekommen. And she never came out of that attic room thereafter. Sie ist geworden ausgedacht und krank. She became thin and ill. Die Cousines und die andere Kräuvetes seien sich zu laufen. The cousins and the other relatives dispersed. Der neue Poritz, was hat übergenommen das Vermögen, hat geschickt sein Marschall, man soll die Almona herauswerfen von der Dira. So the new a nobleman who owned the estate, who had taken over the property, the possessions, sent his marshal to evict the widow from the apartment. Aber hat sie gefunden at Toita, but he found that she had died. Herumgerinkelt mit cats, surrounded by cats. Theresa hat die letzte Jahren aufgehalten bei sich cats. In her later years, Teresa maintained many cats around her. Man hat erzählt zwischen die Päuerin, als wiewohl Teresa ist schon etliche Tage gelegen tot, der Körper ihrer hat schon ungeheben feulen. It was told among the peasants that although Teresa had lain for several days, she had lain dead, her body had already started to decay. Und die Cats seien geblieben ohne Speis, and the cats remained without food. Haben sie nicht angerührt ihr Leib, but they didn't touch her body. A Zeichen, als Chayes weisen euch, wie abzudanken a Wohltuer. A sign that animals also know how to thank a benefactor. Man hat dem Schloss gehabt übergebaut und hat jetzt gehört zu a junger Poritz. They rebuilt the castle, and it now belonged to a young nobleman. Aber jener ist selten gekommen in dem Gut. But this young new owner seldom came to the property. Verbracht die Jahren in Warschau. He spent his years in Warsaw, oder gar in Iceland, or even overseas, outside of Poland. Der Ökonom hat gegangen. The estate manager stole. Gershons yngster Adam hat gehalten die Pacht. Gershon's youngest son-in-law, he held the lease. Ist gegangen in die schwindelische Wegen von sein Schwer, and he followed the deceitful ways of his father-in-law. Die Päuerim haben gehungert. The peasants suffered from hunger. Die Jiden seien euch zrov oremelat, and most of the Jews were also very poor. Von deswegen ist die Stadt gewachsen. Nevertheless, the town grew. Goyische Handwerker haben sich besetzt in Pilitz. Gentile artisans settled in Pilitz und konkurriert mit den jüdischen Balmelochas, and they were in competition with the Jewish tradespeople. Die Galochim haben geschickt Schluchim zum König. soll zunehmen von den Jiden die alte Privilegies. The priests sent messengers to the king that he should remove the old privileges from the Jews. Aber wenn man hat zugenommen beim Jid ein Parnasse, hat sich ausgesucht ein anderer. But when they removed from one livelihood from the Jew, he sought out another one, another livelihood. Jeden haben gezappt Terpenten von die Bäumer. Jews tapped turpentine from the trees, geviert Gehilz mit der Weißel Danzig, and they transported timber by means of the Vistula down to Danzig. Gebräut Bromfen, they brewed a liquor, beer, gemacht made von Honig. So they brewed beer, liquor, beer, and they made mead from honey. Gewebt, gezeig, gegarbt Fellen, a viele gehandelt mit Metallen. They wove fabrics, they tanned hides, and they even traded in metals. Was migrobt ois von dread, metals which were dug out of the ground. Wiewohl die Moskowiten haben geschliffen die Schwerden gegen Polen, und der Kosak von Steppe ist umgefallen bei jeder Gelegenheit. So even though, although the Muscovites were sharpening their swords against Poland, and the Cossacks from the steppes were attacking at every opportunity, haben sie von deswegen zwischen ein Überfall und dem anderen gekauft polnische Ausarbeitungen. So even though the Cossacks attacked at every opportunity, they nevertheless, between one attack and another, they bought Polish products. Jüdische Seuchrim haben gegeben Kredit. Jewish businessmen gave credit, geführt Geschäft mit dem Russ, and they traded with the Russians und dem Preis, and the Prussians mit Böhmen und auch viele mit dem weiten Italia. So they traded with the Russians, the Prussians, and I think Bremen it must be a place. And even
Bremen is Bohemia, but
is Bohemia.
I think
Okay.
so much.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and even with distant Italy, Jeden haben gehabt Bank in Danzig. The Jews had banks in Danzig, Leipzig, Krakow, Warsaw, Prague, Padova, Venedig. So they had banks in Danzig, Leipzig, Krakow, Warsaw, Prague, Padova, and Venice. Jüdische Bankieren haben nicht verrissen die Kipp und nicht gehabt kein übrige Hozoes. Jewish bankers haben nicht verrissen die Kipp. They not sure how to translate that.
I would say they weren't haughty. To verreißen our Kopf is to kind of look down your nose, raise your head up.
Sorry,
They,
to look.
it's the equivalent, I think, of looking down your nose. So, you look haughty. Verreißt dem Kopf, you raise your head.
Okay. And
So
they didn't have too many expenses.
So they kept themselves quiet, not ostentatious.
Ja, okay. Der jiddische Bankier hat gehalten sein Kapital in a Torbe hinteren Teleskotten. The Jewish banker kept his capital in a basket behind his Teleskotten, his tzitzis. Is gesessen in Besmedres und geknelt. He sat in the study house studying. Aber wenn hat Emerson gegebener Brief mit der Chesima, hat man den Ruf gekonnt kriegen Geld in Paris und in Amsterdam. But when he gave somebody a bill with a signature, one could draw money with it in Paris and in Amsterdam. Okay. Michael, I think you can carry on a bit.
Okay, I must say Torbe is a sack because our bettler trok a Torbe. It's not a
Right,
bag.
yes. Yes, good. Right. Thank you.
What about Marsha reading a few lines? Because I know she likes to do that.
I read only at Rafoil, sorry.
Okay.
It's hard for me to be the technical part and I don't trust myself, not yet.
Okay. In der Zeit von Shabtai Tzvi und später, in the time of Shabtai Tzvi and later, bei Shabtai Tzvi hat ungeton dem Tolpan when he's geworden Mahmedaner. At the time when Shabtai Tzvi put on a turban and became a Muslim, hat gebrennt in Pilitz Amachloikas. There was debate, argument in Pilitz. Kahal hat gelegt die Kate in Cherem. The community put that sect, excommunicated that sect. Aber die Kate hat Machrim in dem Rob, but the sect excommunicated the rabbi. Und the Shiva Tovei Ha'ir and the 7 important people of the city. So they excommunicated each other. Sorry?
Yeah. This word is a kas.
Oh, it's Kas, okay. Thank you.
Kas, yeah.
As a sect. Sie ist ergangen zu Masira und Klepp. It went on to betrayal and blows zwischen die Marminim in Shabtai Tzvi seinen Gewinn, also einer was haben herabgerissen die Dächer von die Häuser. Among the believers in Shabtai Tzvi, there were such that even took down the roofs, tore down the roofs of their houses, eingepackt das ganze Hab und Gut, Guts, packed in all their possessions, in Fässer, in barrels, und Kufferts and coffers, in trunks, und sich gekreut, aufzugehen in Eretz Israel, and prepared to go up to the land of Israel. Teil haben sich hereingelost in Kabbalah Ma'asit. A number that involved themselves in practical Kabbalah, geprüft Zappen Wein von der Wand, try to tap wine from the wall, und beschaffen lebendige Täuben von Sefer Yetzirah, and using the Kabbalah and the Zohar to create live doves. Andere haben schon bei Zeiten aufgehört, hätten die Dinge. Others had already in good time stopped carrying out,
observing.
thank you, observing the laws. Sich verrufen auf ein Ma'amar, als die Teure ist ungebreit, bottled to werden by Eden. Okay, and they said that that there is a saying that the Torah will become null and void among the Jews. It will get ready to become to be voided among the Jews. Noch andere haben sich ungespart auf dem Posuk, and others rested on the following verse, V'shachanti etchem betoch tumatchem, ich will ruhen mit euch in euer Unreinkeit, and I will lie with you in your uncleanliness. Und sich verumwertigt mit allerlei Verdorbenkeit, and they corrupted they were no longer worthy, with all sorts of corrupt dealings, verdorben as corrupt or depravities, thank you. Sie ist gewesen in Pilitz am Alamed, was hat Koach Hadimion, as wenn hat gedacht in Talis and Tfilin, and there was in Pilitz a teacher who had such an imagination that when he prayed with his Talis and Tfilin, hat sich ausgemalt wie bemant an the Keva. He pictured to himself how he is involved in sex with a woman, actually raping a woman, und erfüllt hat vergossen die Säumen, and this resulted in ejaculation. By der Schalkhafter case, with this sly sect, is das geworden berechnet daran auftu. This was regarded as an achievement, and they haben ihm gekrönt für seine Manhig, and they crowned him for his leadership. Noch eine Weile haben sie Roviden ungesehen dem Tors, but after a while the Jews saw the errors, as der Satan hat sie verschleppt in der Netz, that Satan has led them into his net, into his trap, and they haben sich abgekehrt von der Emunah, and they turned away from this belief und dem falschen Mashiach and the false Messiah. Aber sie seien geblieben als eine, was haben Stillerheit sich gehalten bei dem Shikutz Meshumam. There were those who remained quietly and were associated with this idolatry. Und sie haben sich getroffen auf Yeridim und dort in die fremde Stadt. They met at fairs, and there in the strange towns sich zu neu gerät, they took counsel with each other, they spoke to each other. Sie haben gehabt allerlei Zeichens, wie solche der können einer dem anderen. They had many signs by which to recognize each other. Sie haben aufgeschrieben die Rosh Tevis Schatz auf Marginsen von Sforim. They have written the Rosh Tevis like the come on
Initials.
initials. Thank you. The initials on the margins of the books, und auch viele auf die Randen von dem gezeigt, was sie haben verkauft in Gewölben, and even on the margins of the tools and materials that they sold in their stores. Sich benutzt mit Chemias. They used charms, was haben gestammt von Shabtai Tzvi und sein Chevriya. That came, so they used charms that came from Shabtai Tzvi and his group. Chutztem einreden ist, als Shabtai Tzvi wird sich noch umkehren und bauen Jerusalem, aside from the delusion that Shabtai Tzvi will still return and build Jerusalem, haben die Leute sich gehalten, eins in Dreusendike in Yanim. These people kept a unity in these outside matters that were not part of Judaism. Sie haben sich gegeben zu lesen, they earned money, sich zugeschanzt Verdiensten, they gifted themselves earnings, sich meschadech gewähnt, they married themselves off, beton sich allerlei Gefälligkeiten, did all kinds of kindnesses to themselves, zusammengegroben auf die Sonim von Shabtai Tzvi, when they gelegt Sträuchelsteine in Weg, and together they dug for the enemies of Shabtai Tzvi and put stumbling blocks in the way of their enemies. Wenn man hat einem von sie beschuldigt in a Schwindel, when someone accused them of swindling, seien alle anderen gekommen, sagen, all the others came to give witness, as is ehrlich, that he is honest, und haben aufgeworfen die Schuld auf Emerson von anderen Seite, and they threw the guilt onto someone from the other side. Bald seien sie alle geworden, the Gideon und Takifim. Soon they all became rich and powerful. Wenn die Bnei Mehimnusa haben sich begegnet, when these non-believers, but there must be the human.
No, the trustworthy ones.
When they're trustworthy ones, yeah. When these trustworthy ones met each other, haben sie gelacht, als die rechtfertige Leid und wie leicht sie lassen sich abnarren und verblenden. They laughed about the righteous people who are easily deceived and blinded.
Matmis, okay.
Machmes, die Stadt ist gewachsen. Since the town grew, is euch gewachsen der Besalem. The cemetery also grew. Die Kvorim haben bald der Gerecht das Ort, wo Sarah ist gelegen. The graves soon reached the place where Sarah was buried, where she was lying. Karl hat sich demult zerteilt. The community at that time became divided. Teil Karlite haben gesagt, als man darf der Soros Beiner ausgraben. Some of the community people said that they ought to dig up Soros remains. Und sie behalten ergens anders, and to keep them, to place them somewhere else. Weil Leut dem Dien ist sie nicht gewesen kein Yiddish Kind. Because according to the law, she was not a Jewish person. Und es ist eine Verschwächung, man soll neben ihr legen die koshere Mesim. And it is a dishonor to place real Jews, real dead people next to her. Der andere Zad hat gehalten, als aufgroben Beiner is a krumme Sach. The other side believed that to dig up the bones is an unreasonable matter. Und es kann noch der Fun herauskommen an Unglück. And from this, there could, misfortune could come from this. Achutz dem ist das Brettel schon gehat eingefallen. And besides this, the plank that had been placed on her grave had fallen over. Das Bergel hat sich ausgeplatscht und man hat schon recht nicht gewusst, wo zu suchen die Atzmes. The mound had flattened, and no one really knew where to look for her remains. Sie ist geblieben als Shav va'alta aser adif. Sitz und tu nicht is besser. So the matter remained as leave it and to do nothing about it, and that's the better way of acting. Das Beis Almin hat sich weiter ausgestreckt. The cemetery was extended even further. Wie gewöhnlich in nahe Stadt, wo es nicht so kein Pinkers und es keinem, was sollen halten Cheshbon. So, as usual in towns which didn't have a book of records, and they had elders and with elders who could keep an account, hat man vergessen on their Soren. They forgot about Sora. When viele Jaakoven, and even forgot about Jakob. Und viele Jaakoven hat schon selten wer gedenkt, and even very seldom thought about Jakob, weil Sach von die erste Stadtleit seinen ausgestorben, because most of the original townspeople had already died out. Es haben sich gehat reingezogen neue Balabatim, new householders had moved into the town. Die Stadt hat schon gehabt a gemäuerte Schule. The town had already a brick-built synagogue, a bishmedres, a hektish, a harberik. It had a brick shul, a study house, a poor house, an inn, a fila, a kaholisch Optritt, wo es seine gegangen, jener, was schämen sich zu tun, das Bedürfnis fahren Häus. And even it had a communal outhouse where those people went who were embarrassed to do their needs in front of the house. Gegen guten Ort hat gewohnt in a klein Heisel, a Kvoris Yid Reb Ever. So near this good place, there lived in a small hut, the Kvoris Yid, the Jew who was in charge of the grave digger, whose name was Reb Ever.